History has been created at Lords for India. India have won only their third Test match at Lords, the Mecca of cricket, something that has been um, a, a bit of a fortress for England as far as Test cricket is concerned. Lords, India's third ever Test victory. First victory in 1986. The second victory came in 2014. The third victory comes in 2021. 7 years after that, sensational spell from Ishant Sharma destroyed England at Lords. India have won another game at the home of cricket. Well, this is, there's a bit of a nice statistic summary I saw the other day. India's first Test win at Lords came 3 years after their 1983 World Cup triumph. The second Test victory at Lords came 3 years after their second World Cup triumph. Well, this one, no World Cup triumphs as such, but this comes on the heels of that disappointing, heartbreaking defeat at the World Test Championship final against New Zealand. A lot of people actually thought England were favourites going into five of the Lord's Test. I had thought England had the slight edge, but only a slight edge. At the end, India's paces were just too good on the day. India have won by 151 runs. England were chasing a daunting target of 272 in about two sessions. They were bowled out for 120. India's paces was just all over the place. I'll just take you through the summary quickly. India's paces, again, they were on fire at Trent Bridge in the first test. India were unlucky not to, get themselves in a situation where they could win it. They only needed 157 runs on the final day, but the final day was washed out, resulting in a drawn match at Trent Bridge. The opening test match was, of course, drawn. In the second innings, in the fourth innings, England chasing 272. They just were bundled out for 120. Mohammad Siraj again picking up 4 wickets, just with Bumrah picking up 3 wickets, 2 wickets for Ishant Sharma, and 1 wicket for Mohammad Shami. Absolutely stellar performances those. India 364 and 298 for it declared have defeated England by 151 runs. England scored 391 in their first innings, taking a slender 27-run lead. Last night, was again a very minimal lead. It was a decent lead at that stage, but India had only 4 wickets in hand. The onus was on Rishabh Pant. We have been talking for a while on India's lower order. The fact that India's talent haven't been able to get enough runs on the board, but well, they have just done wonders in this Test series so far. Look at Jasprit Bumrah's efforts in the first Test match, and now in the second inning, Rishabh Pant got out very early on day five. Ishant Sharma then played some. He played for some important runs, 16 runs or thereabout. But it was all about Mohammad Shami and Jasprit Bumrah. Mohammad Shami getting to a half century, Test best score for Jasprit Bumrah as well. There were so many takeaways for India. There are so many things to celebrate for India. The lower order, the tail wagging, the pacers as usual. They've just been the heroes of India's stellar Test record over the years, especially overseas. Again, all 20 wickets falling to India's pieces in this Test match as well. It was just such a high, to such an emotional high to watch these cricketers, to watch these pacers pull off that victory. Ravindra Jadeja, of course, you would have expected him to take. You would have wanted probably him to get into the act and uh, damage England a little bit, but he did not have to do much. The Pacers were on song throughout, absolutely throughout. There was a drop chance. Haseeb Amir, of course, was dropped by Rohit Sharma. Josh Butler was dropped by Virat Kohli, and Josh Butler eventually fell towards the closing stages of day five with about 7 or 8 overs left. England, England, they were done in really by Mohammad Siraj and his exploits. He's just such a brilliant cricketer. Is Mohammad Siraj? England were 8 for 120 with about 8 overs left, and then Siraj got into the act, removing Josh Butler and James Anderson in the 52nd over of England's innings, and that was that for the hosts. Brilliant performance, absolutely brilliant. Mohammad Siraj then who made his debut, remember, such an impressive debut in Australia. Picked up 4 wickets in the first innings, 4 wickets in the second innings. We've just got to wait and watch who the man of the match award goes to. but I wouldn't be too surprised if it was Mohammad Siraj for his 8 wickets. KL Rahul, of course, scored that cheeky 100 in the first innings. You also feel for Joe Root. He has been outstanding in the series so far. He got runs at Trent Bridge. He got runs here. Nearly anchored England on his shoulders in the first innings. Didn't get too many in the second. A lot was expected from the other batsmen. For England, they would have wanted the others to step up, but unfortunately for them, did not happen again. India's paces were just on song. A lot of questions coming in. I'll take a few fair and quick. Rail over Sushant Sawant. Why did England lose? This is, well, I was just talking about it. Probably they were too defensive to begin with. Lost those two early wickets in their first 2 overs, and the damage was really done. It affects you psychologically when you're trying to uh, bat on the final day. And we were talking about it, and we were, in fact, remember, we were also talking about the fact that a score that an overall lead in the vicinity of 180, 190, 210 would be challenging enough. But this was brilliant, right? 272. What a win for India, says Narat Sairangi. Brilliant performance from especially the bowlers and the full team. Completely agree with you. Um, lot of takeaways there for India in this Test match. 151 run victory. 1986 was the first time India won at Lords. To 2014, there were of course you had the heroes from that Test match as well. Ajinkya Rahane, he got runs in the second innings. Ravindra Jadeja scored some crucial runs in the first innings, and Ishant Sharma picking up some crucial wickets as well in both innings. Ishant replaced Shardul Thakur. Remember, Shardul Thakur was injured. Shardul played in the opening Test match at Trent Bridge, but it was Ishant Sharma eventually who was picked ahead of R. Ashwin. In fact, a few eyebrows were raised as well when R. Ashwin was left out in place of in favor of Ishant Sharma. Also, a couple of things around this Test match, right? This was a heated Test match. Words were exchanged. You saw some words exchanged between Virat Kohli, James Anderson. Uh, Bumrah got into the act against Mark Wood. There were some heated moments in this Test match. Again, when Josh Butler came out to bat, you could hear Virat Kohli on the stump microphone saying that this is don't worry about it. This is not white ball cricket. There were some there was some words exchanged. There was a lot of spice, drama, and excitement, as you would expect between these two very fine teams. But England clearly under pressure now. The first Test match, a draw. India winning at Lords. They have now taken a 1-0 lead in the five Test series. This is a very, very crucial lead. And from here on, you could expect India to bounce back to keep that momentum. They have their tails up. Virat Kohli loves the fight. He loves the challenge, as does the rest of this Indian team. And we've been talking about how this team loves to play to win. And that's exactly what they have done at Lords. So this was, the more you speak about it, the more goosebumps you get summarizing this Test match. What a fine, fine victory that was. Before I go, quickly wrap this up again for you. India 364 and 298 for 8 have defeated England by 151 runs, 391, and they were bundled out for 120 in their second innings. And that partnership between Cheteshwar Pujara and Ajinkya Rahane, even though we're talking about the Pacers today, we're talking about the partnership between Shami and Bumrah. Think back of that partnership last night between Cheteshwar Pujara and Ajinkya Rahane, especially Ajinkya Rahane. Both men were under pressure. Ajinkya Rahane, having not got too many runs, he scored 61 crucial runs, involved in a 100-run partnership for the fourth wicket. Such an important partnership, that one, in the context of the game. And then in England, of course, India lost Rishabh Pant early in the day. Ravindra Jadeja didn't get too many, got three. Ishant Sharma, 16 crucial runs. Mohammad Shami and Jasprit Bumrah. Wow, that partnership was just the thing that just the tonic that India needed. 8 for 209, remember, at that stage when Ishant Sharma got out. And from there on, Mohammad Shami and Jasprit Bumrah took India to 298 for 8. Also, remember, Virat Kohli declared suddenly in the middle of the 110th over of India's second innings. He saw something. He saw the ball was moving. He saw there was something in it for his pacers, and he declared, and they immediately responded. They absolutely immediately responded with some stellar performance. We'll just try and get Boria Mujumdar as well. If Ashish, my producer, can hear me, we of course need Boria to get in and Ashish, can you hear me? Can you get Boria as well? I believe he's I'll try and get Boria in, and he's of course going to summarize that historic contest. You must have been around to watch Boria. All smiles, all smiles. What a moment this is. I know you're tired. We're both exhausted from the Olympic coverage, then the Test matches back to back. But we're not just happy to do this. We're happy to do this because such a historic moment. Take it away, Boria. 1986, 2014, 2021. What a moment in Indian cricket history.
Absolutely is. And you know what? I predicted this last night. If you see my tweets, Vikrant actually had tweeted, we can save this. And I wrote saying, no, we don't want to save this and we will not save this, we will win this. And you mark my words, Vikrant, we will win this. And that's my tweet from last night. And I somehow had this feeling that this England side is extremely fragile, except Root. You put them under pressure, you get a 200-run lead, they'll collapse. I always had that sense that with a four-pronged pace attack, up and down wicket, Lords under pressure, England will collapse. And that partnership made sure that 270, which meant that Virat Kohli could keep three slips, he could keep a short cover, he could keep a short mid-off, he could keep a forward short leg, a silly point, a leg slip, and go for it. 7-8 fielders around the back, and there was no pressure on the Indians because they had plenty of runs to play with. That meant England had to survive. And this England side clearly at no point in time has given us a sense that they can cope with the bowling attack that India has. What an effort. Right through the innings, the intensity was stellar. Two things are important, Rajesh. One, Joe Root, pathetic captain. Okay? Ridiculously foolish captains. Let's be blunt here. Exceptional batsman, pathetic captain. Because the way England lost the plot against Shami and Bumrah, they were trying to hit the body. They were trying to intimidate. They were trying to threaten. They were trying to scare the Indians. That is not a way to win Test match cricket. If you take a look between India and England, there was chirping from the Indians also. Virat Kohli and the players were constantly chirping. But what was the line? The line was a wicket-taking line. Look at Anderson, wicket-taking line. Butler, outside off, wicket-taking, probing line. At no point in time was it a barrage of short balls with 7 fielders in the boundary trying to fear, instill fear. That's point number one. Point number two, from the very start, it was an incredible move to start with Bumrah and Shami, not Ishant, because those two, having done it with the bat, were charged up. And you got those two, one each in the first 2 overs, and you were in the game. So I thought these were fantastic moves by India. And now, obviously, it should have been 2-0. Had the first test not been rained out, it could have been 2-0. But it's 1-0 going into the third test with everything going in favor of India.
Bori, also, you talked about Joe Root's captaincy. First, his decision to again bowl first. Was he tempted by those first 15, 20 minutes of Shah? Of course, play was only delayed by 15 minutes. In a test match like this, would you actually want to bat last? Also, the fact is, you look at Virat Kohli's captaincy, Boria, how he has evolved. He declared in the middle of the innings. In fact, just before you joined, we were talking about that. The fact that he declared he saw something. He saw the ball moving. He saw the ball do something there, and he declared in the middle of the innings, and his pacers responded immediately. That is also a reflection of the way Virat Kohli has, improved as a leader, and to also put into fact the fact that England tried to sledge too much. They were being over aggressive against India. That doesn't work, does it, against this Indian team?
The declaration was obvious. I mean, if you really think why did he bat the 2 overs, they were basically trying to get the lead to about 270 odd. The declaration was coming. You would have given England. So he wanted 60 overs. That's what he wanted to, and that's what he counted. Counting the innings break, he counted 60 overs and he declared. He knew that 60 overs, fragile batting attack, 270 means he will be able to put his fielders close, take the chances. And this is an aggressive Indian side. The moment it became 250, I knew the declaration was coming. Question is when, and it came immediately 10 minutes after match. Second thing about you said the verbal volleys, nonsense. This Indian side, you don't try and do that. Yesterday, Anderson tried to do it. Today, maybe the Indians overdid it a little bit, but you don't do it with this Indian side because, again, look at what happened. Root and his team got into the momentum of that and they lost the plot. They started bowling rubbish. This Indian side was constantly doing it, but at no point in time did they lose the plot. Their line, their leg, their fielding, their catching, everything was spot on. So clearly they kept it in the head. So you try to do the verbal, then you also have to do it on the field. The Indians did both. The English only did off the field and not on the field and lost the plot. But make no mistake, this will be one of our greatest victories. Till day 4 night, it was England's game. Day 5 morning, 35 minutes when Rishabh Pant got out, England's game. Ishant Sharma got out, England's game. And thereafter, a 4-hour turnaround, 5-hour turnaround, India winning this test match shows how good this side is. The WTC final still hurts, will hurt. Having said that, new cycle, what a fantastic start.
Also, it's also gets sweeter with the fact that Ajinkya Rahane is back among the runs. Gritty performance that from Cheteshwar Pujara. A lot of people were questioning his intent, the number of balls he took. But I said that at the end of the show last night, Boria. I thought that, that was important in the context of the game. A 100-run partnership. Either one of those men, had they fallen at that stage, England would have had their tail up. And that also added to the fact that India batted some valuable time. How important was that partnership in the context of the game, the way it was paced yesterday?
You made 3 fantastic points. One is about time. You also had to push England to the brink by batting out time. So that's a very, very important point. And you're right. Yesterday, by the way, I had a brief exchange with Cheteshwar, and I told him that you were courageous, you were gutsy. And that's what it was. I mean, that ball that he got out to was a chaffa, couldn't do much. But the way India came back, that 100-run partnership is worth its weight in gold. Because you know what? You had a Pant, you had a Jadeja. So always you could accelerate. Nobody knew the Shami Bumrah show. That is, out of syllabus. That came from nowhere. But even without that, you actually had players who could sort of take the momentum. So that point in time, 50 for 3 at lunch, you had to bat England out. You had to keep England at bay. Push them to the back, make India believe that you can save this match first. And that's what Jadeja, Rahane and Pujara did. Very, very good. And now, Rahul Rohit playing well. Virat is the only one slightly iffy, but he's got some runs this test match, 42-20. Pujara looking good. Rahane is starting to look good. Pant is looking good. Jadeja has scored. And you all of a sudden feel, hey, my batting unit has started to score. While in England, except Root, no one scores. So all the questions that you have going into the third test, all your 4 fast bowlers delivered. Jadeja with the bat has delivered. England, except and Jimmy Anderson, stretched. Clearly exhausted. Mark Wood, injured. Broad, out of the series. England, too many question marks, Rajarshi, going into the third test. Will take a Herculean ask to come back. India needs to close it there. Kill it there, take a 2-0 lead, make sure you do not lose the series, and it's very important you do not let England come back.
Well, yeah, a couple of questions. Also, we'll take a couple of questions from the audience as well. But here's one thing. I have one for you. You have predicted so often, and you predicted so sharply in the past. But on day 5, would you have predicted a Bumrah Shami show after Pant got out that early? And this also answers a lot of our questions. The fact that the lower order hadn't been delivering, and they've done that in the last 2 test matches. Go back to Bumrah in the first innings at Trent Bridge, and now at Lords. Just absolutely, this is a dream come true for the Indian lower order.
Absolutely correct, but nobody could have predicted this. I mean, if I say I would have predicted this, I'm lying. I mean, all I was hoping that everybody will put a price. If you see my tweets, I've written this, that it's not simply about Pant. Everybody has to put a price on their wicket and make it count. Dig deep. Those were my words last night. And that's what I was hoping. Because every run scored means they have every run to defend. And that bowling unit was the one that will come out and bowl. So, but at the same time, the moment India got to 200, believe me, 270 was beyond expectation. The moment India got to 200, I started to believe this game on. And I've tweeted it yesterday. I told Ravi Shastri, by the way, last time. I was on message with him and I said 40 more runs. And he wrote to me 35, 40 more runs. That's what Ravi Shastri's message was. 35, 40 more runs and we are in it. And absolutely, 200 lead against a fragile England batting lineup, and you are in business. Make no mistake, you are in business because except Root, who's the one who will score? Under pressure to Bumrah, Shami, Siraj, Ishant. When the ball is keeping up and down, there's always the threat of it movement, coming in, leaving, holding its line, keeping low. Who's the one you will fear in that England batting attack, you tell me, except Root? Nobody. So clearly the moment it was a 200 plus chase, you had to believe India had a chance. Will you say, what did I say in our 5 o'clock show? Luncheon show? Check. I said 2 results possible. 5% England, whatever. Two results possible: 60% draw and 30% Indian win. That was what I said at the luncheon show. Because at the back of my mind, I thought if we take 3 or 4 before tea, we are in business, and that's what happened. But you've got to say that Bairstow wicket was the turning point. That last ball before tea, Michael Goff gets it wrong. He too can make a mistake. That was a huge turning point.
Absolutely, what a call that was, and he literally begged for that review, didn't he? It was just such an amazing sight to see. And also Josh Butler, Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma. Rohit Sharma dropped Haseeb Hamid. He got out right after. Josh Butler, when Virat Kohli dropped him at that stage, he's a good slip spin. He's a good catcher. But he let that one go with his fingers pointing towards the sky. And at the fag end of the day, you had Josh Butler falling to who? But Mohammad Siraj. Talking of Mohammad Siraj, what a stellar performance that again. Wickets are plenty in this test match. I was just talking about that before you joined us. Who would be the man of the match, KL Rahul or Mohammad Siraj? KL Rahul has been named man of the match. Do you agree with that? A lot of our viewers are also wondering why not Siraj. But do you agree with KL Rahul man of the match over Mohammad Siraj?
No, I would have given it to Mohammad Siraj. Rahul did not win it for you. Siraj did. And imagine where Siraj has come. From that Australia series, 8 wickets in the match here at Lord's. Where was this man at the start of this year? He was nowhere. He was not your first 4. Umesh Yadav was your first 4. He was, Shami, Bumrah, Ishant and Umesh. And there comes Mohammad Siraj. Think about the man's evolution. Losing his father, not going home, making it count in Melbourne, then after Sydney, in Brisbane becoming the star, the first fifer, and then now England. How Mohammad Siraj has taken the bull by the horn. What incredible relentlessness from Mohammad Siraj. My man of the match is Mohammad Siraj. Critical wickets, key moments, bowling his heart out, giving it his all. Yes, Rahul was sublime. But in the second innings, Rahul did not win you the game. Rahul hasn't. India could have still lost. And there comes Mohammad Siraj. So my man of the match has to be Mohammad Siraj.
Right, and you could of course go back and watch that Mohammad Siraj interview that Boria did right after the Australia tour when he came back home and he went to his father's grave. Of course, KL Rahul has also spoken to Sports Today a fair few times, and I'm sure Boria will get both these gentlemen on Sports Today after the England series. You cannot speak to them for interviews in between Test matches. Nobody can do that. Of course, Boria has been in touch of informally. He's been in touch with all these players. We get a lot of anecdotes and stories from England, I'm sure. But Boria, I'm sure you'll get it. You'll get to speak to Ravi Shastri, Virat Kohli, a few of the players. But that dressing room will be buzzing tonight. There'll be a lot of celebrations at Lords. This is got to be one of the highest points of Indian cricket, you think, 2014, 2021. Yes, England are a weakened team, but you cannot ever take away anything from a victory at Lords. A test match victory at Lords will always be.
Of course. I mean, a Lord's win is a Lord's win. And by the way, at about 6:10, 6:15, when they showed Saurabh, and I messaged him saying, when they're showing you on television, the little you can do is at least have a smile on your face. And he messages me saying it's very cold. I said, Saurabh, now Shami and Bumrah have given you enough warmth, so smile, and England will collapse and we will win. He said, you think so? And I'm like, not think so, this will happen, and you're right there, you'll watch it. And we were constantly on WhatsApp with each other. Saurabh Ganguly watching this test match as board president, seeing another victory at Lords. He will not open his shirt, but somebody else will. But Saurabh, delighted that you watched this today. And as I said, and I'm on record. 6:15, I told you England collapse, we will win this, and that has happened. I mean, what a night! What an absolutely superb night! It's what, 7 o'clock in England, 7:30. This is the time you come out of that, and tremendous Indian crowd. Come out of St. John's Wood. Just go to that, St. James, the Regent's Park opposite. Behind Regent's Park, there are some fantastic Lebanese restaurants. Go there, have some really nice shawarma, have your glass of champagne, and enjoy. And then go to St. John's Wood and go home. But sort of, I know you're coming back in a couple of days, and once you come back, we've got to do an interview together. How this match unfolded and how you enjoyed it as board president. But Rajoshi, a Lord's match is always a special match. Home of cricket, greatest cricketing crowd. It is a special venue. Mohammad Siraj, 1 wicket short from that honours board. I would have loved him to get his name on that honours board, but who cares? India has won. Virat's team has won, and what a start to the WTC cycle.
Absolutely, and I hope Dada will be smiling now that this is done. Boria's prediction came through. In fact, we've been predicting that. I believe Boria at the start of day 5 Even last night as comes, I believe England was slightly ahead. England had that slight nose ahead because India were under pressure, especially after the Rohit and Rahul partnership. There was a bit of collapse, and their middle order was a worry. But the way Pujara and Rahane batted in that phase yesterday, and of course, highs from the tailenders. But Doria, before we go, I know it's late. Before we go, what a week this has been. What a momentous occasion this has been. 7 Olympic medals. You were there in Tokyo right through. Neeraj Chopra gold. Test match victory at Lords. We nearly missed out on that Trent Bridge victory. I still think had India batted on the final day, they should have been on course to get those 157 runs. India
I
might have been
agree.
2-0 up, but that's okay. 1-0 up
I
Lords. Just sum it
I
up,
agree.
Gloria.
I agree. I mean, this has been a fairy tale period for Indian cricket. 75th Independence Day, start of the 75th, and can't be a better time. And my friend Ornav Roy, who heads Coca-Cola, writes to me, Siraj Palat Diya. Absolutely, the whole country has gone mad. The whole world has gone mad. And yes, Tokyo was terrific. Tokyo was terrific. Neeraj signing off with that gold. The mantle passes to cricket. And before the third test match, the Paralympics will start. Uh, you know, uh, uh, incredible, because Paralympics, I'm predicting 15 odd medals, including 3, 4, 5 gold medals, Rajarshi. It will be a revolution. In badminton, we'll get 2. Palak and, and of course, Pramod Bhagat will also get us a gold, is what I believe. So from the Olympics, the high, to Lords, the high, the high keeps going, and then the Paralympics, then the test match. What a month this is, getting to be for Indian sport. Delighted. And we on Sports Today take a lot of pride in covering multi-sport. I don't think anybody does it better than us. From tomorrow, we will focus on cricket, also on Paralympics, build it up, ensure that every news break for Paralympics, every athlete is interviewed here on the platform. So keep watching this platform. This is your platform for genuinely serious coverage of Indian sport from across the world.
Absolutely. This has been a dream week, and it's been. I know Boria is exhausted. He was in Tokyo. I'm exhausted as well. To be fair, from all the coverage, but we're not complaining. We have happy exhaustion, Boria. This is we are happy. We are happy to be exhausted. We're happy to wear ourselves out because this is such fascinating. This such fantastic times for Indian sports, right from the Olympics to cricket, and now this was also, of course, shift to the Paralympics alongside the test series, and of course building up to the IPL, which starts in about a month's time. Plenty coming up. Like Boria said, do stick with Sports Today, subscribe to the channel, and we promise to get you the best of the world of sports on this very platform. Thank you so much for joining us, Boria. Thank you. Pleasure as always. We'll of course come back with lots more tomorrow. Till then, good night and stay safe.